Before the Gulf redfish population collapsed in the early 90s, Nova Scotia's offshore fleet held half the overall quota. In the decades since, the companies carried out science surveys for fisheries and oceans, maintained a small fishery in adjacent areas, and spent millions on plants and licenses in anticipation of a reopening. Now that the population has rebounded, Quebec and Newfoundland interests are lobbying for a piece of the action, in part to compensate for a drastic reduction in shrimp quota for fleets in their province.
This is incredibly concerning, so it's not just me that's...
Nova Scotia wants Ottawa to maintain historic shares.
I would like for our quotas to be respected, in particular with this one, when our companies were the ones that pioneered this industry from the get-go.
Last fall, he told his federal counterpart to change these established allocations would bring significant economic hardships to these Nova Scotia-based fleets and the hundreds of jobs in coastal Nova Scotia communities that they support. Warning, the apparent trend of altering long-standing quota agreements threatens to destabilize investment in seafood infrastructure, market, and product development. Scotia Harvest spent $14 million on a state-of-the-art plant in Digby. Its president says the only decision here is the size of the quota. Who gets to catch it has already been settled.
We have expected quota. We made investments around it. We've continued to make investments. Others have, not just my company, but there's been investments in boats. Licenses and quotas have been bought, sold, and transferred between different participants. I just don't see how we do without it. I don't see what the alternative is, because if those quotas are not going to be respected, if those transactions lead to some harm to communities or to existing participants in favor of others, this is a zero-sum game.
Meanwhile, Federal Fisheries Minister Diane Leboutillier did not respond to Kent Smith. Her office says an announcement will be made at the end of the month. Paul Withers, CBC News, Halifax.